Hey guys, Nash with the Tampa Drain Dudes. Tristan, Joe, and Brandon are back here. Just got started on this job this morning. We have a sump pump installation. The side yard has a huge bowl that regrading won't quite fix for the water. And we need to pump that water from back there up here. So we're gonna show you how to do this. So we have a pretty symmetrical system. I'll go ahead and throw a diagram up of this job real quick so you can take a look at that. Now that front downspout right here that carries this roof runoff is going to go backwards to the center of the yard where Brandon is digging the sump basin that's going to house our sump pump. Got some good solid clay today. And you can see they've already removed the sod for this back line right here, where this back downspout is also going to go and meet in the center at that sump basin. So we're going to carry those downspouts underground in a 4-inch solid drain pipe. We're going to go with corrugated today. Solid, not perforated, so there's no holes. It does not need to be wrapped in any kind of fabric or rock. What we are going to do down here, though, is add a couple of access points. We're going to have two 6-inch catch basins. That way it acts as number one, clean out point for any roof granules or anything that comes down this downspout that needs to be cleaned out. It's a clean out point for us in the future if we ever need to drop in some drain hoses and snake the system. And it also catches any surface water that's down here on the ground that's not coming from the downspouts. So we'll put these in the low spots to catch some more water, and they'll run it down into the sump basin. This side over here is going to be identical, just coming straight down. So how we do this is we go down the line, chopping the sod on each side about 6 inches apart, and then we'll chop them into foot sections and just pull that sod up out of the ground for a nice clean install. We're going to come through and trench at the depth we need to keep proper slope for that pipe. And then when we put the pipe in the ground, we're going to backfill the dirt back on and put the soil as well. That dirt's kind of stinky, huh?
A little stinky.
Or did I step in dog poop? This is the pipe we're going to be running. We're going to run that sump pump line in 1.5 inch PVC from where Brandon is at the sump basin, underground all the way up front, passing these utility lines and water meters under the sidewalk and to the street right there at the curb. I'll go ahead and show you guys little bits and pieces of this job. Pretty simple. You can do it yourself on the weekend for sure, but it helps to have a good crew like this.
5 minutes later.
Guys got pretty much all the 4-inch drain line trenched out. Brandon's got the sump basin in the ground right here to house the sump pump. We like to put everything on tarps, that way when we backfill it's a lot cleaner. Nothing gets left in this yard. I'm going under the sidewalk up here. If you've never burrowed under the sidewalk, there's a couple ways you can get by a sidewalk. You can put the pop-up emitter right here, do a catch basin on this end. If you want to go the whole length of the way, you can cut that sidewalk with a concrete saw and drop the pipe in, re-pour the concrete. Or if you really want to put your back into it and a little bit more sweat equity, you can burrow under it. The way we do it is take skinny trenching shovels and dig as far as you can underneath these. Now, if you're running a gravity system underneath this, be careful, because as you dig, to get under, your shovel's going to hit the top of that cement, and you're going to end up digging a belly, a big bowl, and water and debris is going to gather there. On a sump pump, we're not as worried about that because we have a straight PVC running right across it, and it's got pressure taking it out. So what we like to do is dig as far as we can on each side, and then just take a larger diameter pipe. I'm going to let this trash truck pass. Take a larger diameter pipe and just use it as a ram bar, basically. Since we're running 1.5 inch on that sump system, I've got a 2-inch pipe here, and all we're going to do is just keep hitting it with our hands. You can tap it with a hammer, and it's going to burrow out a 2-inch hole in there. Once you get this completely through to the other side, you can then run your PVC line inside that, or you can pull it out and just try to feed your line through there. The last way I'll show you, we have a little device here we've made. our own little hydrojet. This is 1.5 inch PVC pipe with a couple fittings on it. This is a threaded fitting right here that connects to a regular water hose. So if you have real tough soil, if that clay is real dense in there, you can hook up a water hose, turn it on, and ram this bar down. Just push it in, let that water erode a little bit, and then knock it and slide it a little bit more as you go. And that'll create a perfect line. If this is a one-time thing, you're just doing this once and you have a longer run, you can connect multiple of these pipes together. And once you get through to the other side, this is not going to be clogged with dirt because you had water running through it. You can simply take off this end and put a regular coupler and use this pipe as the pump pipe that you're running. We use this weekly though, so obviously we're going to leave all the attachments and fittings on here. All right, so here we've got this 2-inch pipe running through. And since we ran that through there, there's a bunch of soil in it. So all we got now is our 1.5 inch line with the garden hose hooked up. And we can just wash it out. Barely any pressure, you just push a little and twist. All right, now you can see we've got our 2-inch pipe down here. Just slide in that 1.5 inch. And it acts as a guide all the way through and out the other side. We already washed it out, so there's no dirt in there. Nice, clean, open line. And back here, we've already got the line trenched out and inserted in the ground. Got these catch basins on. Super straightforward, simple system. Really effective. We're taking care of the downspout water. Any water that's sitting in the yard gets into these catch basins here and finds their way into our sump pump, where we're going to run a Zoeller sump pump and shoot it out down the line. All right, now I am working backwards because I'm at the end point, but this is how we end it. We run 1.5 inch sump pump pipe and it comes up here to an adapter. This is 1.5 inch to a 3-inch, and the reason we do that is because we end these at a pop-up emitter. This is a 3-inch pop-up emitter. Typically on drainage systems we run 4, but that's because we're running 4-inch pipe. As long as you're not choking the line at the end, you're good. So what this does is this will float up whenever water is coming up out of it, and whenever the rain recedes, that will drop back down so no snakes and critters get in here. I will say, put a screw in the lid, because if you don't, this lid's going to come shooting off whenever that pump starts pumping, and this just pops right in here. All right, now the sump pump we are running today is a 1/3 horsepower Zoeller. Zoeller, in our opinion, is the best for sump pumps. They have 3 to 5 year warranties, but you won't ever need them because these things don't die. That being said, there's 2 kinds you can get with these float switches. One is on a slide and one is a bobber. Get the one that's on a bobber. The slide is basically a stick that comes from the top to the bottom, and the slide comes up and a magnet turns on the system, and sometimes leaves and debris get caught in that slide, so we like to use this because there's nothing that can get caught. Whenever it floats up, you can hear it kick on and it'll start pumping. Once that water level recedes, it'll drop back down and automatically turn off. This model right here is the 1052, and yeah, great pump. Show you guys how to plumb it real quick. I need a couple things. Should have prepared before pulling this out, but we're going on the flow today. You need 1.5 inch threaded male to just a regular female. And then from there, you're gonna need a little bit of a riser, which we've already got one on here, luckily. And that's when you're gonna go to a check valve. Check valves allow for flow in one direction, and they have a flap that stop it from flowing the other direction. The reason you want this is if you don't have this and you're pumping uphill and down the line, Once it stops and turns off, that water is going to come back down the gravity and enter the system again, and you're just going to be recycling and repumping that same amount of water. When you have a check valve in place, it can come back, but it stops the check valve before entering the system, so you're not going to be sitting there wasting electricity. These just go on with regular hose clamps, so all you're going to do is loosen these, and when you buy them in store, sometimes they're on like this, so you just got to flip these little rubber gaskets around the other way. I'll show you real quick. So like I said, they're normally on like that. You just pop them off and you're going to reverse them because the 1.5 inch diameter is this larger diameter. So they're going to slide on like that. You're going to do that with both sides and then put it inline the pipe. You can do it right there in the pump housing. That's what we'd recommend doing. You can also do it anywhere down the line that you like. But if it ever goes out or needs servicing, we like to do it inside that big sump basin so you can access it in the future. You don't need to glue this first part. Don't need to glue, obviously, where you're going to clamp on these hose clamps. But everything after that, where PVC's meeting PVC, you're going to want to use glue. All right, and that right there is a plumbed sump pump right there. Again, we go our 1.5 inch threaded bit and just a tiny, tiny piece. That way you can connect this check valve. And then this is what's going to be your riser pipe. This is going to take the distance of however high you need to come up out of your sump basin. Just keep in mind, the higher you go, the less flow you're going to have pumping out with these pumps. Pretty sure these do like 40 something gallons per minute, the 1/3. A lot of times we run them at M98s. Yeah, 48 gallons per minute. M98's a 1/2 horsepower. It's a little bit stronger, but this job only has 2 downspouts and 4 catch basins going to it, so not a ton of water. If you're curious of how much water you have going into the system or how big of a pump you need, you can look up all the diagrams, and it has all the information on how much water it actually pumps out in gallons per minute. I will say, if you opt to go for another sump pump, a lot of them, this cast iron right here, you can see it has a little hole right here. This is so it doesn't airlock. Whenever it's pumping water and starts pumping air, it can get airlocked. This prevents that. So if you're not running a pump that already has a pre-drilled hole like that, go ahead and just put a tiny hole into the side of your pipe. That way it doesn't get airlocked. So at the top of this, we'll just do a 9D, however high we need it, and take it out. Yep. Down here on our sump in, this is where we got the pipe coming in line. So just pick where you want your pipe to come in at. Down in the hole we go. And these Zoeller pumps pump out small debris, any little chunks of mud that get in there. It's just gonna suck it in and pump it out the other side, any little leaves, any stuff like that. But you're gonna take your 1.5 inch hole saw and you're just gonna drill through the side, and that pipe will run directly in, and then we'll connect it to our sump pump. So I'm gonna go ahead and drill this out. All right. So we can slide that through. Alrighty, now that that sump pump is in there and plumbed, we're gonna go ahead and test out the system. Just turn on the garden hose, and we're just gonna let it feed into these catch basins here and run down into that pipe. Make sure we got good slope and everything. One part I did not show you was connecting the downspouts. All it is a 4-inch downspout adapter. It's just one little piece that goes from the shape of the downspout to our round pipe. Pretty simple, and we just tap it in with a screw to hold it. That runs down in. When you connect to anything like that, or the catch basins, you can either tile tape it, that's that black stretchy waterproof tape, or you can just use a screw just to tap it in and hold it until that dirt finally settles and holds it itself. When you use tile tape, the best time is around roots. So if you have a bunch of shrubs nearby or palm trees that have a lot of roots that try to get into that system, that tile tape will help slow that down. So you can see that water's coming here now. And that float switch is slowly lifting up. So we'll come down. Now we got about 70 foot of 1.5 inch sump pump line going through here. So the first time it pumps, it's got a prime, and it'll probably just air that stinks like glue, and it's gross. But then that second time it kicks on will be 100% water, and it'll pump it down to this end. So we're just gonna stand here and watch this until that happens. There we go. Yep. I'm gonna call that one a success. Tristan's putting the sod back down on this front part. On that back half, we're not gonna put the sod down quite yet because we are gonna run and grab an extension cord that we forgot to get. And we are gonna bury that in some conduit and run that to a plug on the side of their house, and it will be good to go. But that's pretty much the whole thing. Yep. Yep. Super clean, easy install. We started this at about 9 this morning, and it's 11. So 2 hours, and we just dropped in about 50, 60 feet of 4-inch pipe, and then
It was 65 with 4-inch and about 70 of 1.5 inch.
under the sidewalk and out. Dingo, dingo.
Bingo, bango, bongo.
Thank you guys
So
for
if you
watching.
guys-
What were you saying, Joe?
I was gonna say, if you guys got 2 buddies that you can give some beers, throw them their way, you can knock a project out like this yourself in just a couple hours.
Or money. You know, Tristan and Brand prefer money.
That's also a good motivation.
So, wait, can we just give you guys beers and call it good? I think they wanted the money.
They're 2 in the zone.
Yeah, they're thinking about the money. Well, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this helps you out if you have a low spot in your yard and you want to fix it with a sump pump. Super great system. The only downfall is if you run out of power, you no longer have that sump pump going unless you have a generator or backup system. Click like, click subscribe. See you guys in the next one.